Have you ever wondered if you're growing spiritually, but nothing dramatic seems to be happening? No lightning bolts, no angelic choirs, just life. That's the thing. Real spiritual growth often hides in plain sight. It's quiet, subtle, and if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. But once you see these signs, you can't unsee them. You might notice you're less reactive than before. The same situations that used to set your heart racing or your voice rising now meet a calmer, steadier you. It's not that you've stopped caring, it's that you've stopped letting chaos decide who you are. That's growth. You start craving truth more than comfort. The easy answers don't satisfy you anymore. You'd rather face an uncomfortable reality than live in a beautiful lie. And that hunger for truth, it's a compass pointing you towards something bigger than yourself. Your priorities shift without you forcing them. Things you once chased, status, possessions, approval, start to feel strangely hollow. And in their place, you find yourself drawn to meaning, connection, and purpose. You're not losing ambition, you're refining it. You begin to notice the space between what happens to you and how you respond. That tiny pause is power. It's the moment you choose wisdom over impulse, compassion over judgment. And the more you choose it, the more it becomes who you are. You feel a deeper connection to life itself. A sunset hits you differently, a stranger's smile lingers in your mind. You start to sense that everything, every joy, every challenge, is part of a larger, intricate design. And maybe the most surprising sign, you feel a little out of place in your old life. The conversations, the habits, the environments that once felt normal now feel too small for you. That's not you losing yourself. It's you outgrowing the version of you that no longer fits. Spiritual growth doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it's the quiet rewiring of your soul, the invisible shift in your inner world that changes everything on the outside. And if you've been feeling any of this, you're not stuck. You're transforming. So here's the question. If these quiet symptoms are already showing up in your life, what might be waiting for you on the other side of fully embracing them? Stay with that thought, because your next step might just be the one that changes everything. And then there's this strange, almost imperceptible loosening of your grip on control. You stop needing to orchestrate every outcome, not because you've given up, but because you've started to trust the unfolding. You notice that life has a rhythm, and when you stop fighting it, you move with a kind of grace you didn't know you had. Your inner dialogue changes too. The voice that used to criticize, compare, and condemn begins to soften. It doesn't vanish overnight, but you catch it sooner, question it more, and sometimes even replace it with words that heal instead of harm. That's not weakness, it's the quiet strength of someone learning to be their own ally. You find yourself listening more than speaking, not because you have nothing to say, but because you've realized understanding is more valuable than winning an argument. You start to hear the spaces between people's words, the fear they're hiding, the hope they're protecting, and you respond to that instead of just the surface. Old triggers lose their power. The person who once could ruin your day with a single comment now barely stirs the waters inside you. It's not that you've become numb, it's that you've built a deeper anchor. You can feel the waves without being swept away. You begin to notice patterns in your life, almost like threads weaving through different seasons, the same lessons showing up in new disguises. And instead of asking, why me, you start asking, what is this here to teach me? That shift alone changes the way you experience everything. There's also a growing comfort with solitude. Not isolation, but a kind of sacred aloneness where you can hear your own soul without the static of the world. You stop fearing the quiet because you've discovered it's where the deepest conversations happen, between you and the one who's been guiding you all along. Even your relationship with time changes. You stop rushing towards some imagined finish line and start noticing the texture of the moment you're in, the way sunlight spills across the floor, the way your breath feels when you slow it down, the way a single act of kindness can ripple farther than you'll ever see. And maybe without realizing it, you start to carry a different energy into every room you enter. People can't always name it, but they feel it. A steadiness, a presence, a lightness that wasn't there before. It's not about being perfect or enlightened, it's about being rooted in something deeper than the noise. You start to sense the weight of words before they leave your mouth. It's as if something inside you pauses, asking, will this build or will this break? And more often than not, you choose to build. That choice, repeated quietly over time, reshapes the atmosphere around you without anyone realizing why it feels lighter when you're there. Your relationship with discomfort changes. Instead of running from it, you lean in, curious about what it's trying to show you. Pain stops being just an enemy, it becomes a messenger. And in that shift, you begin to see that even the hardest seasons are not punishments, but invitations to grow roots deeper than the storm can reach. You noticed how your definition of success is evolving. It's no longer just about what you can hold in your hands, but about what you can hold in your heart without it slipping through your fingers. Peace becomes a currency. Integrity becomes wealth. And you start to measure your days not by how much you've achieved, but by how aligned you've been with what matters most. The noise of comparison begins to fade. You stop looking sideways to see how far ahead or behind you are because you've realized you're not even running the same race as anyone else. Your path is your own, and the pace is perfect for where you're meant to be. You start to feel gratitude in places you never thought to look, in the delay that kept you from being in the wrong place at the wrong time, in the closed door that forced you to find a better one, in the unanswered prayer that, in hindsight, was the greatest mercy. Even your sense of identity loosens. You stop clinging so tightly to labels, roles, and titles because you've tasted the freedom of knowing you are more than any of them. You can step into them fully and step out without losing yourself. And there's this quiet courage that begins to rise. Not the loud, chest-beating kind, but the steady kind that lets you stand in truth even when it costs you. You stop needing everyone to understand you because you've made peace with being misunderstood if it means staying authentic. The way you see others changes too. You start recognizing that everyone is carrying something unseen, and it softens your judgments. You find yourself offering grace more freely, not because people always deserve it, but because you've learned how much you've needed it yourself. And somewhere along the way, you realize you're no longer searching for the moment when you'll finally arrive. You're living inside the journey, finding meaning in the in-between, and letting each step, no matter how small, be enough for today. You begin to notice that forgiveness comes more easily, not because what happened was okay, but because you've realized holding on only keeps you chained to the past. Letting go stops feeling like losing and starts feeling like freedom. Your sense of worth stops being tied to what you produce or how others see you. You start to feel valuable simply because you exist, because you are a living expression of something sacred. That quiet confidence radiates without you even trying. You catch yourself savoring the smallest victories, waking up with peace in your chest, choosing kindness when it's hard, saying no without guilt. These moments might seem small to others, but to you, they're proof that something deep inside has shifted. And then one day, without fanfare, you realize you're no longer searching for the moment when you'll finally arrive. You're already living it. The journey itself has become the destination, and every step, whether uphill, downhill, or standing still, feels like part of a divine choreography. If you've been feeling these quiet shifts, you're not imagining it. You're growing in ways the world might not notice, but your soul does. And that growth will ripple out, touching lives you may never even meet. If this spoke to you, if you saw yourself in these words, then you're exactly where you're meant to be. Let's keep walking this path together. There's so much ahead. So take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next step in this journey. Your growth matters, and the world needs the light you're becoming.